Hello everyone, welcome back to the series on programming robot mechanics. In this video, we are going to implement the famous interpolation algorithm, the cubic spline interpolation. Now, Python already has a library by the name of SciPy, SCIPY, that already provides us with the implementation of a spline that we want to do, but we are not going to use that. Instead, we are going to do everything from scratch like this cubic spline interpolation. So let's get to this. Right, now what is cubic spline interpolation? In the previous videos, we were given only 2 points and we were interpolating a cubic polynomial between those 2 points, assuming some continuous and other assumptions that we had. Now for cubic spline, we are given multiple points, more than 2 points. Initial and final are given, but we are also given some intermediate points called the via points. And how we are going to interpolate between all those points, we use a technique, we can say, called cubic spline. We interpolate a cubic polynomial between each of the 2 points and also maintain the continuity between those 2 points in terms of velocity and acceleration. That way, all the graph that is formed, or we can say the final curve that is formed, is continuous and it is continuous and kind of smooth for the position and velocity stuff, so that the robot maintains the velocity and doesn't have a quick change in a lot of parameters. So that's how cubic spline helps us. Just for some reference, cubic spline is one way we can, there exist multiple ways in which we can fit a cubic polynomial between a number of different points. Here we have 3 main methods that can be specified. It's either the first one can be the user specifies the desired velocity at each via point like theta A, theta B, theta C. The user specifies the velocity at these points, so we interpolate over that velocity. That is one way. We are not going to do that. The second way is we can automatically choose a velocity using some heuristic. Now, a heuristic can be, if we assume a straight line between 2 intermediate points, and if the slopes are of different signs, or for instance, in theta naught till theta A, the slope is positive, and from theta A to theta B, the slope is negative. In this case, what we can do, when the slopes are in different sign, we can assume that the velocity that will be over at this point is going to be 0. And for the case when the slopes are not changing in sign, we can directly take the average of both of these slopes and assign the velocity like that. So that is the second way. We are actually following the third way, in which we automatically assign continuous velocities across these points by assuming continuous acceleration. That's how we do it. By solving these, when we assume these conditions, then we get some system of equations that we can solve. The system of equations are like yi minus 1 should be equal to yi. The derivative till at the last point, like the derivative before this point and after this point, should be equal, like in infinitesimally small interval should be equal. The acceleration should also be equal. By solving this set of equations, we are able to get this particular form of matrix which we need to solve. So this is a linear equation of matrices, like a simple linear equation that we can simply solve in order to get the cubic polynomial parameters that we have. In between all these points, we assume that the polynomial is ai bit plus cit square plus dit cube. We solve for these if we are given n points, n minus 1 segments of cubic polynomials. So that's how the overall picture is. Our work is not in the derivation part. We are simply going to use this formulation over here to just code the implementation. Right, now before moving on, there is some kind of notation difference over here. Like this is not exactly the thing. This is kind of the thing that we are going to implement, but there are going to be slight changes that we're going to apply to adjust to our use case. For instance, one such change is that they have specified n plus 1 points and we are fitting n segments. In our case, we are going to have n points and we are going to be fitting n minus 1 segments. So that's one difference. And there is other difference that we will come across later on in the video when we will be implementing it. All right, so let's get started with it. Okay, now let's just define the function first. We'll just simply copy this initialization part. Okay, there we go. And let's just change some names. Okay, so here we have this. In this, a slight change is that we are using a parameter q underscore. Now, in case of cubic spline interpolation, we will not be receiving an initial and final position, something like that, but we are simply going to receive an array of positions. And the size we are assuming it's n cross degree of freedom. So the columns are going to represent the degree of freedom. Like this is the degree joint 1, joint 2, joint 3, joint 4. And row wise, we are going to represent the index of the position, right? This is the 0th position, this is the first, second, and so on, going like that. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is to derive different shapes from this. And we are going to take the shape. We're going to derive the shapes from it. So it is the 0th shape, and this is going to be the first shape. Right. Okay. Now, the next thing that we usually do is separate the time steps. So let's do that. Now, this is going to be slightly different. This is because the implementation that we are following is something like that. In the implementation, it is assumed that each segment is working from 0 till 1. Each segment of like if we consider this cubic over here between these 2 points, then at t equals 0, the point is over here. And at t equals 1, the point is over here. So the cubic polynomial is interpolated from 0 till 1. But in our case, we usually have been assuming till now that the whole trajectory should be planned from 0 to 1. So therefore, in order to account for that, we need to do some adjustment to this. So let's see what adjustment is going to be. Okay, so first of all, we are going to calculate k. Now, what is k? K is actually, we are dividing these m points, like we are given that there are 100 segments in till 0, from 0 till 1. We are dividing that by n minus 1. So we are actually calculating how many points are there going to be in each segment. That is what k represents. We are dividing m by n minus 1. So that's what we have. Okay, now we in time steps, instead of a simple segment array from 0 till 1, now we are going to have multiple segments from 0 till 1, taking in account the value of k and m and n, something like that. So let's see how we do that. First of all, we're going to introduce this. Now we are going to have num k, and we're also going to add this endpoint equals false. Okay, I'll explain the use, why we are doing this over here, and first let's just complete the code of what we are doing over here. Okay, all right, now why we are doing this. Okay, the usage of endpoint will be clear after we have gone through the code. Let's just first assume that endpoint equals false is just a thing that we have did. What it did is, earlier, while we were interpolating from 0 till 1, we were including 0 and 1. Endpoint equal false does not include 1. So we are going to segment 0 till 1 and excluding the number 1. That's how we're going to segment it. And the number of segments are going to be equal to k. And we're going to do this n minus 2 times. We are leaving a single time. We are going to have n minus 1 instances, n minus 1 time steps, but we are using this loop to generate n minus 2. The final element of this time steps is going to be from 0 till 1, including 1. And that is to complete the time steps array that we have. So the use of this endpoint false will be clear. I will explain after we have gone through some code. So explaining this right now won't make much sense. So we'll just keep on going right. Okay, and right. Now there is one thing that we need to take care of. M can be, it is a possibility that M is not a multiple of n minus 1. That can usually be the case. Like n minus 1 M is usually 100. But if n minus 1 is equal to 3, that the user has passed in 4 points. So there can be a problem in the size of all these things. In order to adjust for that, we are going to add M with k m percent n minus 1. Now what this percent function does, it calculates the remainder of m divided by n minus 1. So whatever is the remainder, we are going to add that to m to make m divisible by that n minus 1. Now this is usually this is going to be a small number, like not too much of to the base of 1000. Usually this is going to be such a small number, like less than 10 or something like that. Well, that depends on m and n, of course, but right, it's going to be a small number. So adding this small number won't make much of a difference to the algorithm, but it will make the algorithm generalized enough to work for all cases. Okay, now let's come on to the next step. Now the next step is this A matrix that we have over here. We want to solve for this D matrix. Why we are solving for this D matrix? After we solve for this D matrix, we are going to equate this AI equals yi, bi equals di, and ci equals this big expression containing yi's and di's and di's similarly. In order to compute the coefficients of the polynomials, we need to solve for the D. So this is our mission right now, that we want to solve for this D vector. And A is the matrix over here. Okay, so let's see how we do that. I just put a comment over here, generate A matrix. Okay, now we're going to have this as, we'll initialize this by np.zeros, and we're going to do a simple trick over here. That is, we're going to initialize this by degree of freedom, comma n, comma n. Why did we do this? All right. Now, we want to solve for all the joints simultaneously. Now, I do not want to introduce a loop that is saying for I in range degree of freedom, and then we solve for each degree of freedom or joint one by one. I want to solve all these degree of freedoms at once, and NumPy provides us with that power, and we want to utilize that power. Now, how that power is utilized is we introduce a degree of freedom, like we are going to have n cross n A matrices, like the size of the A matrix over here is also, here it is n plus 1 comma n plus 1, but we are going to have that size as n comma n. We're going to have 6, if we assume 6 degree of freedom, we're going to have 6 A matrices that are looking very similar to this matrix over here. The same matrix replicated 6 times. So NumPy can solve for all the 6 joints all at once. Okay, now let's initialize this. Now there is going to be a change over here, but first let's just copy it and then I'll introduce what the change is going to be. Okay, now we have this 0, 0 that is initialized by 2. And we, okay, let's do it in next line, and 0, 1 that is initialized by 1, and A, the last element and the second last, okay, n minus 1 comma n minus 2, that is going to be equal to 1, and the last element is going to equal to 2, right? So this is how we do. Now these were two not so common values that we had. All these 1 for 1 common kind of a pattern, so we can use a loop for this, but for this 2 and 1 there was no common pattern, so therefore I decided to introduce it like this. Okay, okay, now let's have a loop for I in range. Now we're going to initialize this from n and go till n minus 2. We just add, we have 1 plus number over here. So with this for loop is ranging from 1 till n minus 2. And what we're going to do is we are going to assign the ith element, or we can say if this is the 0th column, like this is the 0th row, this is the first row. For the first row and the first column, like ith row and ith column, we are going to have a value of 4. And for I minus 1 of the same row, but I minus 1 column, we're going to have 1. And for I plus 1 column, we are going to have 1. Right, let's see how we do that. And for ith, we have this row and we had this column. So I minus 1 is this is going to equal to 1. And I is going to equal 4. This is going to equal 1. Right, so this is how we are doing it. Right, now why did we add a colon over here? This is in order to replicate the value of A for all the matrices, for all the degree of freedom matrices that we have. Right, and this will do it. Okay, now for the change that we're going to apply. Now what change we are going to apply? Right, let's just first go on and let's just first generate the B matrix. Now what the B matrix is, that this is this matrix over here. This I'm calling it the B matrix. So we have this equation of the form Ax equals B. So we're going to first solve for this B matrix as well. So let's generate that B matrix first. Now this is going to have a similar structure. We're going to have degree of freedom, comma, n. This was supposed to be n only, but we are going to have a degree of freedom also. So we can solve for all the degree of freedoms all at once. Okay, and all right. Okay, let's not call this B matrix. Let's just call this Y matrix. Okay, now same structure follows over here. The first and the last element that we have, they are not following any conventional pattern as such that we can put in a loop, but all the other values are forming a kind of a pattern which we'll discuss. So we're going to assign these first and last values first and then go on in a loop, right? So how do we do that? And 0, this is going to equal 3 times Q. Okay. Now one interesting thing that we're going to do over here. Right now, what the value is going to be something like Q1 minus Q underscore 0. This is what we're conventionally going to do, but we're going to apply a change over here. All these values like the A matrix and the Y matrix that we have, and even the solution matrix that we're going to get, this D matrix over here, all of these are going to follow a conventional structure that is going to be the degree of freedoms is first we have the shape, the 0th shape is degree of freedom, and then we have other degrees, other shape of parameters over there. But for Q, we are not following any such convention. So in order to shape things up for all the things, we are going to calculate the transpose of the Q matrix that we have. This is done by this. Now this transpose will assume generality over all these values. So instead of going simply 1 over here, we're going to have colon 1 comma 1 over here and colon comma 0 over here. This is just to make all the matrices that you're working with of the same or similar structure, the degree of freedom followed by other shape parameters. So that's how we are doing it. That's why we are doing it. How is simple, but that's why we are doing this. Okay. Now one way would have also been to just introduce this value through the input, like we take the user input in such a way that we have this shape, but this n cross degree of freedom shape is much convenient for a user. Like the user can specify for each row what all the joint values are going to be. Like the first row specifies the first position joint values, the second row specifies all the joint position values. This is particularly easier for the user to input. That's why we're going to have n cross degree of freedom. And it's also relatively easier for a programmer to just take a transpose and convert that n cross degree of freedom to degree of freedom cross n. So yeah, that's just to justification for why we are doing this. Okay. All right, now let's add the final element that we have over here. That is equal to n minus 1, n minus 2. All right, so here we have it. And now let's loop over the values. It's a similar loop, like we are starting from 1 and going till n minus 2. Now what the structure they are following is, we take in the ith element, we are going to assign the ith element. And how is the ith element being assigned? Like if we assume that this is the first element, the first element is being assigned yi plus 1 minus yi minus 1. So that's the typical pattern that it is following, and we are going to implement that. It's going to be I plus 1 minus yi minus 1. As simple as that. Okay. All right. Okay, now for the second change that we had. The first change that we discussed was the value of n. They are using n plus 1 points, but we are using n points. The second difference that we're going to have, instead of this 2, 2, 1 and 1, 2, we are going to replace this by simple 1 and simple 1 over here. And this starting value is going to equal to 0, and this last value is also going to be equal to 0. Now, why is that? The solution that they have derived is based on the assumption that the initial acceleration and initial and final acceleration are zero. But if we want, but for our case, we do not want the acceleration to be zero. We actually want the velocity to be zero. So in order to incorporate that change, we just make these small changes so that the final conditions that we have is y dash of 0, 0 is equal to 0 and y dash of n minus 1 of 1 is equal to 0. It's a simple change, but okay, let's add comments over here so we can, after we have done the code, we can also experiment like what are the different values that are coming out. Okay, so we have done that. Now let's finally solve for D. Now what is D equal to? We are going to use this numpy function linear algebra dot solve. This is going to simply take the A matrix and the Y matrix and give us the solution of D. As simple as that. Now we want to calculate the coefficients of the polynomial. So let's do that. So first we have A. What is A going to equal? We are simply going to copy this. Now what are we going to copy? Now AI is equal to yi. This means AI is the yith element straight. Nothing, no change, not at all. So we're simply going to assign the yi. In our case, the yi is q underscore. But there is one thing that we need to notice that I'll just code and then tell. We're going to assign all the elements excluding the last element. Why is this? The shape of A is going to equal it is all going to equal q underscore, but actually A is supposed to take n minus 1 values, not n values, because we have n minus 1 segments between all those points. That's the reason why I'm taking till n minus 1. Similarly, we have to copy ND. Right, similarly, because BI is equal to DI and the DI shape is going to be n something comma n, but we need to take the n minus 1 elements. That's why we're doing. All right, the shape of C and D is going to equal degree of freedom comma n minus 1. Now this is again comes back to the thing that we discussed before. All the matrices over here are going to have a shape something like degree of freedom comma some other shape parameter. When we are taking this A matrix and Y matrix, we have this degree of freedom at the start and then we solve for the D matrix. The D matrix shape is equal to degree of freedom comma n. N is the number of points. So the coefficients are going to have a similar shape to all of those, degree of freedom comma n minus 1. So that's why we are assuming that currently they are zeros, but we are going to assign them values as we go along. So let's assign them values now. Now we are going to go from 0 till n minus 1. We're going to assign all the values. That's why we're doing that. And the similar structure follows like colon comma, because we're assigning the values for all degree of freedom. Right now, what is this equal to? 3 times yi plus 1 minus yi minus 2 times di minus 2 times minus di plus 1. So let's assign that. Right now, let's assign the same for d as well. Now d is 2 times the same difference but opposite sign plus di plus 1. Okay, so all the coefficients are calculated. Now, finally, we are going to use these coefficients to calculate this Q, QD and QDD. Now, this is one reason why we are using Q underscore instead of Q directly, because we wanted to solve for these values finally. Okay, let's add one more comment over here, calculate trajectories. Since this is a very big function, comparatively, this is a big function and we're doing a lot of things in this single function. That's why we're adding a lot of comments over here. Okay, and now we going to use 2 for loops that are integrated in one another. Now, why we are going to use that, I'll just clear up after we code this one. It will be pretty clear after I have coded it why we are using 2 loops. These 2 loops are to iterate over the time steps variable. Time steps, as we discussed before, time steps over here is a little different. Time steps is a list that contains 0 till 1, like different arrays that are divided from 0 till 1 by these k elements, like k segments. Okay. All right. Now we are going to calculate the Q, QI, QD, and QDD. So let's just first do this one. Right. This value is also pretty much clear from the way that I have written it. I is the element, is the time steps element, and j times k represents the j times k element. like the size of Q, QD and QDD. Oh, sorry. The size of Q, QDD and QD is going to be degree of freedom, comma M. M is equal to 100. And therefore, we need to fill 100 elements in Q, QD and QDD. How we are doing it? The ith element is going to range from the time steps length. Now, this time steps length is actually equal to K. So it's going to fill this Q. We are going to have this loop run each time for J, and then we're going to add 1 to it. This is a simple application of Euclid's division lemma, if we can say. It is a simple addition plus multiplication. One thing, in order to make it slightly more clear, we can print the values of ijk in order to get clear of how the values are working. But first, let's just continue our evaluation, and then we will evaluate it how we are going to do it. Okay, and then we are going to return the Q, QD and QDD. As simple as that. Okay. Right. So now in the testing part, we are going to need to evaluate it two different times, like these commented out values and this ijk. So let's start with that. Okay. All right, so I already have this main.py file. Cubic spline interpolation is already imported, and we are going to have 5 points which we are going to interpolate over, and let's see how that works now. Okay, running it now. Okay, so there's a slight mistake. The time steps is going to be j comma I. My bad. Okay. Right, so we have some slight mistake over here. The position is all right, but the velocity is not actually smooth. We required a smooth velocity. We can see the velocity is starting from 0 and going till some value, but the velocity is not smooth, and we require that. We do not want sudden changes in velocity. So let's see what went wrong. Okay, so I see the mistake over here. We are writing y over here. We instead need q underscore. All right, now let's run it again. Okay. Right, now it's looking good. We are starting from 0 velocity. We are having continuous position change, and we are having continuous velocity change, and slight and not exact continuous acceleration change as well, but the acceleration is not smooth. But that is something that we can handle. We're not assuming a acceleration that is smooth. Velocity needs to be smooth because the robot is going to adjust the velocity. So acceleration is not a big deal to worry about over here. Right. Now, since we are done with the basic implementation of what we needed, now we are needing to explain 3 things that we are left with. All right. The first thing is why we included 0 till 1 and excluding the end point. This is because if we were to put end point equals true, let's just do that. If we put, I don't know if the code will run, but let's see if the code runs or not. Right, the code did run. So when we put endpoint equals true, we can see that the value is being solved 2 times. Now, why this is the reason why this not smooth value is over here? Because at this particular time instant, there can be multiple, one such is over here. At this time instance, we are calculating the value of the joint at this place, and both are coming out to be equal. Why this is? This is because of our assumption that we have done. Like the I minus y, I can find such, right. This is this one over here. Yi of 0 is going to equal yi. That is okay. But yi minus 1 of y is also equal to yi. So both of these values are equal. And while doing so, if we do not put the endpoint equals false, we are calculating the same value 2 times, and that is getting plotted 2 times at 2 separate time intervals. That is the reason why the plot is coming out to be not that smooth. But instead, if we put endpoint equals false, then the plot will come out to be smooth. Now, there is nothing wrong with this doing calculations 2 times, but it's just this plot was not smooth. That's why we are adding this. So we only calculate all the values only once. Okay, that's the first thing that was explained. Now let's see what changes if we put these values over here, the commented out values, what change does it make? So let's comment the previous values that we had and let's uncomment these. Right, let's run it again now. All right, now the plot is again good. It's not bad, but the problem is here the acceleration, starting acceleration is 0 and the ending acceleration is 0. This is something that is good to have, but we do not have it as a requirement. We wanted the velocities to start at 0 and end at 0. But in this case, when we are putting those values over there, we are having the start velocity as some random value and the final velocity as also some random value. Well, not exactly random, but some other value than 0. So in order to account, since we want the velocities to be 0 instead of the acceleration, that's why we are going to comment the other values out and put those values that we had in place. Right, that's the second thing also done. Now let's see what this I plus j times k represents. So if we print j over here, and similarly, we will be printing k over I over there. And also let's print k as well, but outside. Now let's see what the different values are. Oh, only j got printed. Let's see what we went wrong. Okay. All right, so here we have printed. Now k is equal to 25. Since we have input 5 points, I think, yeah, we have input 5 points. So in each segment, we are going to have 4 segments, and in each segment, we have 25 points. Now for j, when j is equal to 0, I can start and loop till 24. Right. And then j changes value, j goes to 1, and then I starts changing its value starting from 0 till 24. And then j again goes to 2, and I again continues. J goes to 3, and then I again continues. Now, if we calculate what is the value of I in this part of where the j is equal to 0, we can see that I takes value starting from 0 till 24, right? And then after j has taken the value 1, now we calculate the different values of I. We can see that I takes value starting from 25 till 49, right? And if we take value j equals 2, the I plus j times k value, this starts from 50 and goes till 74. And finally, for j equals 3, the value goes from 75 till 99. And this is the calculation that we're doing. We are now basically, in a sense, we are iterating from 0 till 99. In this way, we are assigning the values of q starting from 0 till the 99th index. And that is actually what we wanted to do. So this I plus j times k is implicitly calculating what each value is going to be equal to. So that's why we have used that. Right. Okay. Now let's remove this, since we don't require them. Okay, so this is pretty much it, what we wanted to do for this video. Now, this cubic spline interpolation is actually tough. So it took some time for me as well to complete it. I actually did 2 tries. This is the second attempt of the same video because I went all wrong while doing it. I had to do this code in behind the video and then present it on the video. Now, this can take some time to understand, and there may be some places where I may also have gone wrong, and where there might be some places where you wouldn't be able to understand what we were doing in this case. In any ways, you can leave a comment if for any case you didn't understand. No problem with that. Right, so this is pretty much it for this video. Right, in the next video, let's see what we have. There are 2 choices that we can have. We can either have a linear spline interpolation, or we can start with Cartesian trajectory planning. But let's see what we get in the next video. See you in the next video then. Bye.